Good morning. Welcome back to another trade plan review. This one's for Thursday, October 20th, 2022. However, it is the following day in the morning at 7:22 Eastern Time on October 21st, 2022, Friday, end of the week. Okay, so here we have the regular trading hours, okay? And we opened here just above, right around 3,700. The morning had a move up and took out the high of the prior day, took out Tuesday's or Wednesday's high, didn't get back up to Tuesday's, and then we rolled over to the downside. Okay, the high was the B high, the B period in the profile, which is the second half hour of the pioneering range, the initial balance, and so we didn't get any extension on this side, any range extension. So we rolled over to the downside. And the IB, the initial balance, was about 71% of the entire range, I believe. So we have a normal variation day, which means there was some influence to the downside. That's how that's can be interpreted from other time frames. And anyway, we closed below. This is important, maybe coming in today. And when I put the profiles on, we'll see the overnight trade is on there. I can't really take just that off unless I did a whole thing with date ranges, and I just didn't think to do that this morning. So, at any rate, we closed down below the 20 moving average, and we are gapping down at the moment. So we've got another 2 hours to the open. So we'll see what happens. Not really a lot of news today, but at any rate, today's not the issue. I'm going to make another video for that, as per usual. Anyhow, we came down to the 20 moving average, which I identified yesterday morning as a critical inflection point, a dynamic one that might be important, and it was. So, to one degree or another, let's get to the stories and the profile. So let me look at the profile in ones. It made me a little easier to see, have it compressed just a little bit. Okay, so this was Wednesday overnight, and then yesterday. Okay, so all the lines on the chart here are from yesterday. I've not updated them at all, so these are all current to, as if I did this video at the end of the market yesterday, but I wasn't. It didn't work out that way. Okay, so we opened at right above 3,700. Let's look here, 3,700 quarter. And to see whether we traded up or down first, we're going to have to look at our 10-minute bars. We got to go back a ways here. Let's scrunch this together. Okay, after pausing the video for a minute and kind of scrolling back and finding out where things were on this 1-minute chart, I had to make some adjustments to it as well. I had studies on here, this and that, just to make it clear. Okay, so we opened here at 90 quarter, okay, and traded down a couple ticks, up, down, up and down to 92, up and down to 90. Now, interestingly enough, okay, so this is the 10-minute bar. The way these profile here are these are three 10-minute letters for each 30-minute period. Okay, 10-minute bars. So in A, we opened up here, traded up a little bit, and it basically worked its way down to the value area low. I had spoken in the pre-market video about, I believe, the 80% rule special situation was in effect, and it did play out. So again, the idea was to maybe get continuation to the other side of value here from Wednesday, and that happened. Came up again, and then we came back down and came to the contract point of control, okay, which at that point became a weak low, and as evidenced by later on, we came back through it. Okay, so this was something that there was information later on that we might roll over to the downside if you were patient and waited and were thinking that may happen today. It might happen today. All right, so let's get to the stories here and kind of see like what the ideas were to trade and how actually the day shook out and if any of those things were actionable. All right, moving in the plans from yesterday. Okay, the first thing was open in range in value. 80% rule to the downside in play before the open. So get on board for move towards a value area low, prior low of day, which is also a poor low with the overnight low. All right, well, we did come down here, so this happened later, okay? The prior low of day part, okay? So if you hung in there for that, and didn't take any profit if you did get short, that didn't work out. But this did. So this was actually a good call. So let's look at where, I mean, there's ways to do it, right? I don't know, let's look on the profile here. Okay, so I guess I should put some of these studies on here so I can identify it. So this was at 3702. We opened here and we got up to 3707. All right, so what 3007 is settle. So we actually traded this far up. So these are not, these aren't scaled to exactly the same. Like you wouldn't think that was that far distance, but it is. But it doesn't look good on a minute chart. But the deal is, we traded down and came all the way up. So it looked like we're going to the upside. And by the way, this pink bar, if you can see it, hopefully on your monitor, excuse me, or phone, or however you watch this is 3 minutes, okay? So this came up to quite a cluster. We had a volume point of control from yesterday, which is right here. You can see the purple line in there. Let me make it a little bigger here. You can see the purple line on the volume. We had settlement at 37.07 quarter, and the 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern close was at 37.07, and then the pivot point was at 37.08. Okay? And you can see this is the high of that first 3 minutes came here. And we know that by the minute chart that it only went up to 30.0750 in that first couple of minutes. Okay? So how easy would it have been to get short here when you had a rush to the upside like that? And we also had the ability to, or the idea for possible short covering. Well, one clue was that we didn't take out this X high, because that is at 37.08. So we were still one time framing to the downside. And I've mentioned this a couple times that I count, not always, maybe it should be always, but I do count, especially on days we have news at 8:30. I look at these last couple bars and say, okay, what's the order flow coming into the morning, right? And one-time framing is a way of describing order flow. Okay, so this would have worked. There was a reason to take a short just because this was if only the daytime frame is in control, and it's a visible reference, visible reference. You can define your risk above any of these levels, or the overnight value area high, or where it's too wide, or no, wait, it wasn't too wide there, where it's 4 wide up here. There's just lots of ways to do it, to look at it, or just have a money stop, or times, whatever you want to do. The point being is this is a reason to take a shot, and this would have been a heck of a trade if somebody would have taken this down. Now, the other way to look at it is if you come back through the open. So we get this candle wick down, and now we're trading to the downside, okay? Maybe we come out of the, let me look again here at, we traded down to the bottom of the opening range, 37.96.75. We opened here, okay, we didn't get to the open range until the 3rd minute, bottom. Now, I am not a fan of taking, some people, I don't know, remember when or why I came up with 3 minutes. That's what I use, okay? That's what I use. And at this point, somebody using a 1 minute would have had an opening range low a little higher, but I want to say I'm not a fan of taking the opening range trade. However, it is a reference point if you want to use it as something, as an indication something's changed. So let's say you come out of the opening range and it makes a jig back up, and you trade against the open. We have so many low confidence opens lately, and when I mean low confidence, look at all these anomalies in the overnight. We didn't come into the morning with high confidence, okay? And we had this move up and then a move back down. I mean, we're back and forth through the open. So it's kind of hard to trade against that. But you do have the overnight, the overnight volume point of control, even the overnight volume weighted average price. Just lots of ways to get on board. Or maybe just you jump in market because you think it's going there. I don't know, and maybe I'm wasting too much time on this, but I want to say that there's, even if we had the same plan, let's say we had the same plan. Oh yeah, we're one time framing down coming into the open. We the first time the news came out, the reaction was negative. Maybe there was a little shakeout of weaker hands, and they're going to continue in the open as the news hits the market, the regular trading hours. They digest it, those players, and we come down to we got the special situation 80% rule in play. We're going to come down here. So maybe that's all you need. Well, where you get in is personal. We have the same plan, but how we trade it, how much size, what instrument. I mean, might trade the micros, might trade the ES. All right, I've spent a fair bit of time on this, and we haven't even gotten through that, and I think there's a lot more to come here. I knew there was a lot to talk about, and I really wasn't up to I did have other things to do, but when I got around to okay, let's make the review of the day, I thought, I don't know that I'm up to it at this point of doing a good job. And hopefully I'm doing a good job this morning. So let's bring this back in. Okay. This worked. Let's see the potential. I think this is important. This is very important for me to do because to capture these moves takes some patience and some savvy. So let's say we got short right somewhere under here under the pivot. We risked above it a little bit. Actually, I did that wrong. Let me just pull down here. We came down to the value area low at 90. I think it was 92. We did get lower to 90 at the contract thing, but we were only going for we're going to come out a little above the value area high, just be slightly conservative here, even though I'm trying to capture this move and see how that happens. So let's say our stop was right here and our entry was here. That's what I was trying to draw before. I did it wrong. Right, maybe this volume ledge under here, and you've got this possible resistance area where it might get either a smackdown or at least it slows it up a bit. Okay, so let's here I'm going to do something right quick to make sure that I don't have to keep doing this. All right, so what I did was I configured this button to show ticks, but it isn't going to help me on this having drawn the show points. It isn't going to help me after I've already drawn the thing. So let's scroll down and see how much that move might have been worth. Target 58 ticks, 14.5 points. Let's just round it down to 14. Wrong chart, wrong window. Let's see. We're gonna try to keep track of this. Maybe I need a column for what it was worth. I think that's a good idea. 14. I'm not going to put points just for sake of time right now. All right, the next thing is open in range, in value, failure to continue below value area low, rotate back towards value area high, 80% rule. Watch for prairie dog of overnight low, value area low. Well, there's your prairie dog. Contract VPOC, when it came back in, this was worth the shot because you could risk below here, maybe even down to this volume thing. So let's do just that. So I'm going to delete this, and we're going to look at we're going to put our stop down here, and again, let's see how much that is. By the way, 3. That's reasonable. 3.25 points in this market. Let's take it up because what happened is we went. Now you could have taken off and reloaded all along the way or gotten long way up here, but the idea was, I can't spell out every situation, was that we take that value area, that prairie dog of the value area low. All right, we got up here. It went further. There was a lot more potential, but let's say we got out here. I'll put it here where I can read it. Okay, just under there, 31 points. Okay. Now, did I capture all of this? No. I don't always trade my own plan. It's a great thing if I did, but I'm not capable of doing that at the moment. I'm working towards it. And I had a revelation yesterday of how I might be able to do that a little bit easier and capture these moves and take off and add in a lot, because in the ES it can add up quite a bit. But anyway, if you mess up, so all right, 31 points potential just for the 80% rule. Okay, so this worked out. Okay, now 3A, develop value below the value area low, take out overnight, prior low a day, continuation to the other side of initial balance from Monday. Okay, this happened, but these maybe should be reversed. Okay, let's scroll down to what did happen. We continued to move above prior high of day with a run for yesterday's. I don't know if I meant a slash in here. I'll have to watch the video again. With a run for yesterday's overnight high and Tuesday's high, likely a trend day if this happens. Well, I'll tell you what. Maybe on the 10-minute, it was like looking like a trend day. Okay, see how we're one time framing up, and we continue one time framing up. This is a 10-minute one time framing up. There you go. Okay, but that's a trend. But as far as defining a trend day, it wasn't necessarily a trend day per se, even once we rolled over one time frame to the downside. But that's coming up a little bit later when we talk about 3A. All right, so move above prior high day with a run for yesterday. Maybe I'm in a slash here at Tuesdays, because the date this was made yesterday would have been Wednesday, but Tuesday's overnight high had not been taken out as well. So let's just look at the chart. This might help me understand like what I was saying at the time. All right, so let's see here. No, we didn't get to. I guess I did mean yesterday's overnight high, because we didn't get to that, and I was all the way up there, and I've since, I think, moved the. Oh no, this is the chart in ones, so I don't have my lines on here. Okay, remember this is the chart in ones. That's important. See, it goes from it's in halves right now, and then this would have been Tuesday's high. So yesterday's, then Tuesday's high. That's what I meant. Let's see here. Just to recap real quick, because that was kind of confusing. Move above prior high of day with a run for yesterday's high. Okay, now this is important because I don't know why I said prior high day. Tuesday's high. Okay, let me think this through. Okay, yeah, so we'd already taken out Tuesday's overnight high with Wednesday's. Wednesday took that out, okay? It only took it out by a little bit and fell back in. So this might just be a typo, okay? But moved above prior high of day with a run for Tuesday's high, okay? So maybe I just meant overnight high with a run for overnight high and Tuesday's high. Again, I'm sorry this is confusing. I typed this up rather quickly, and I sometimes I'll just change the text here and not start fresh, and I might have left something in there. But that's what it meant based on what we're looking at. Okay, we were not above the overnight high. That would come first, and Tuesday's overnight high had already been taken out, and then Tuesday high. So I meant Wednesday's overnight high and Tuesday's high. Okay, coming into Wednesday. Okay, that being said, again, that's 3 minutes we'll never get back. I'm sorry about that. All right, so here though I did be a little clearer because I knew we had the value area high to deal with first. Get long, because remember we're taking it in pieces, right? So this was taking it up to the overnight high, 80% rule, right? That happened, and I mean it didn't happen until B period technically, but the idea. And if you're looking at, I can apply it. You may not be able to in your mind. I can apply it to a smaller time frame. Okay, so we opened up new TPOs, but again, the prairie dogs are going to be an early adopter. Okay, all right. So get long upon acceptance and value development above value area high. Take profit and reload against inflection points for a likely choppy move higher. I don't remember the price action. I think it was a little bit like that. But let's see here. So we moved above the value area high, and I'm going to split this off because B was the high of the day. We had a pretty fast move through here. Above the overnight high, we did start to develop value. Now, what's significant about this? How do I know that? It doesn't look like it was huge, but we have a volume distribution here. We have a volume distribution here. Actually, there's kind of like three here and here, right? And then it really thins out up here. But once we're above that value area high, boy, it got way up there, took out the overnight high, and then there was volume development. So it didn't happen right above the value area high, but it looks like it moved quickly there, and then it developed above the overnight high. So at any rate, yeah, I think this was a pop, like short covering, okay? But this worked. You can interchange some of these. One moment. You can interchange like value development of value area high to, well, if we get above the overnight high, you're looking for that because we're still going higher. We already made the run to the overnight high. Now it's like Tuesday's high, okay? Get long against inflection points. That would be like the overnight high, the value area high, things like that. So this worked. All right. I don't remember that this balance once back in this range needs a volume distribution and constantly sell. I don't think this, even though we did fall back, I don't think this had anything. I just didn't delete it for some reason. Sorry about that. Some days I have to make these videos faster than others. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the point value. If we got long, once we got above, now let's look at this as well. So that value area high is at 37.23.25, and it was in B period. So we're going to pull our minute chart in here, and we're going to look at B period, which is this very thin dashed vertical line right here. So B period, and at level is 37.23. So that is going to be right here, 23.25. Okay. All right, so we got above it, closed above it. Would have been hard to trade against it because, again, I think this really popped fast, okay? Now our overnight high, where's that? Let's look. Let's be fair. I always want to be fair and I want to be a little conservative because, theoretical is one thing. In reality, when rubber meets the road, when you're out in the jungle, it's a whole different, it's one thing to train in camp. It's another thing when you're out there in the thick of it, right? So this is at 37.30. Yeah, 37.30. We're going to draw our overnight high line, 37.30. Now here was an opportunity, prairie dog it, take a shot, right there. Came down, you could have got long against it, could have got long coming back through it, could have got long, could have waited till a bar closed above all this mess. There's so many different ways to, people use to confirm entries and this and that. Could have stop entered in at 37.32 when it knocked out these two highs right here. On a tick chart, there might have been a lot more little highs. So there you go. So let's say we got long up here and not from the value area high. Okay. All right. Let's just be conservative. Risk reward. We got long here. Once it came back in. Actually, let me start over. We'll put our stop maybe down here below this bar. Got long here. Again, stops about 3 points. That's reasonable in this volatility market. And we took it up to, let's look for an exit point here. Got to make this small. What would be our likely exit point? Overnight value area high. I would have tried for that for sure. Okay, myself, I know I would have. That's one of my. It's a reference I like. Okay, didn't quite get there. I also, you can maybe see this red little zone here, which is simply it's just another, like I have R1 and there's R2 and there's R3 up there. Those are like classic calculations, but I also use like a I just have a formula to do another type of pivot, and I have it draw it differently. I just make it a zone between the two pivots. So this is a pivot. This is like maybe an R2 or something using that formula. And it's funny how this oftentimes works out really close to it, like very confluent. It's like a Fibonacci zone. Okay. So let's say I was smart and I took it out. Let's say it went up here and started thinning out, and I just decided I'm getting out. Like I'm going to get out right here. Okay. 37.46 quarter. Let's just do that one. Let's make this big again. 37. Oh gosh, that's only 45. All right, let's just leave it there. It's at 45. That's even lower. Okay, 14.25 points. So now we can add 14 points to our tally. A potential. I have these, each one of these, because they can get lost as depend, to stay on top. But it kind of can cause a problem. So there's 14. Okay, so then we have 14, yeah. 28, 31. Okay, so now we got, 50 some points here, right? 59 points. That's really a lot, right? But the day's not over. That's just in the initial balance. So we've got 3A is to, the story would be develop value below value area low. So this would mean, of course, we're coming back down. Now, it ought to go without saying that once we come back in the new TPOs to the value area low, especially now we're one-time framing, came down in C. I mean, you can do a lot of things here. We come off in C, and we get below the prior high a day. Maybe you don't catch this in C period, but you might go short against it in D, right? Might be hard to do because of such a strong steaming move up. But again, and I'm not gonna put our point value on here. I didn't put this in the trading plans, although some of these should go without saying. Again, I could make a 1A and 1B, and I have talked about the value area 80% rule. Many times it'll reverse, and you got it to the upside. If it was to the downside, now you got the upside and vice versa. So we had it successful the upside, came out of it, now we're coming back down towards it. But you also have something, we're prairie dogging basically the prior high day. So we come back in here, left excess up here, left I would say it's a weak high, but left some excess. We had excess in C period if you looked at it standalone. And open, test, and drive, and come down. I'm going to merge these back together here. Number one, time framing. We have a balancing period in E. So rejected out of value high, but then we came back down and opened right on the value area high in F. Came out, came in, and I'm not going to go back to the minute chart, but look, now this came all the way down, and now in G period you open up, you have these references that even though they've been traded through, these tend to still give a lot of they can create, it's like being on this, it's like a scrimmage line sort of. Okay, so sometimes I know a lot of traders, maybe if it goes through a reference, they'll just take it off the chart, it's over. I don't see it that way, especially on a cluster like this. So now we're below it, and again, how are we going to get in here? I'm not worried about that at the moment. I'm just saying, like, you can see there was the potential for another move on the special situation 8%. So, but I'm going to stick with just what I had written down here. Okay, rejection out of Monday's range signals possible new business and rotation higher. So actually this, and this is maybe something I might lose sight of, or if I was, sticking around that long. We got acceptance back into Monday's range. So that would signal what? The opposite. Possible rotation lower. Okay, so 3B was in play. So this worked. I'm going to put a plus sign here, but I'm not counting that right now. Get long and short against inflection points. Watch for one-time framing. Should have put one-time framing lower. Because this was talking about developing value below the value area low. To go take out the overnight low and prior low a day. Continuation to the other side of the initial balance from Monday. And I'd spend a few moments on this talking about once we re-enter Monday's range, that was a normal day. The entire day's range was inside the initial balance. And I said that, well, the idea would be at that point that we're going to the other side of balance. So this could be interesting to see how that played out. So we're already one-time framing down, okay? One-time framing down. We've gotten, distributions, more distributions. So this is a pretty slow and steady, strong move down. We get below the low a day, okay? Now, there's a lot of back and forth around this. We had but we did come down into, now this is in 1, so it doesn't look like that much. But let's move it over to here. Okay, this is the more regular chart here. Okay, I want to be able to see that profile. Here is Monday's range. This is what we're talking about. I'll make this a different color. How about just pink? Whoops. I don't know why that's not changing color. Let me okay, so you can shade in that whole middle area, and that was changing the middle area color. So anyway, so now you can see this pink rectangle right here. All right, so we get below prior low a day, which is down here, and the overnight low. These were week lows. And again, the idea, I gotta look at the idea again, because let's see. Develop value below value area low, take out overnight. Okay, it was to start below the value area low. So let's look here. Right here. This was the value area low. Up here. Right here. Okay. So we're one time framing down. See that? One time framing down. You could have gotten short against the value area low. Let's see how value developed. Split it here. Being too tedious, this is a very valuable exercise. And see how we got a distribution now of volume, and could have risked back inside where it's 3 wide, or maybe the shoulder volume, whatever. How you trade is your business, how you make your entries. So let me pull all this together, undo splits, and looking at this again. From the value area low, we're one time framing down coming into it. Look at this, right? Look at this. One time framing down, and gets rejected out of the value area low, or out of the value area. And we're now at this point, we are in this range, right? And I talked about this blue line is the initial balance, and it covers the entire range of the day. Well, we didn't get to the very bottom of it. We have since. It's just continued. We got to the other side of balance, right? So let's just look at what this would have been if somebody would have shorted against the overnight low. I'm sorry, not the overnight low. The value area low as identified in the trading plan. So let's just say we got, I think it would have wanted shorted once we got below the low of the day. So let's just be conservative and say we got short in here with our stop above the value area low, or maybe that might be too big for me anyway. So let me take this down here to, and this is a pivot point. So let's say we got out just a little bit above one of these pivot points. Let's see, this stop is 4.25 points. All right, that might be reasonable. I think if I was getting short here, if it came back into value and above the open of I would know that that's probably not going to work. So let's make it a little tighter. 3 points. Okay, fair enough. 3 points. Even that can add up quick if you're not doing well. So 19.5 points. Let's just round it down to, you know what? Let's say that it was choppy and you got out. You know what? Let's say you just got out in I period at this S1 and this just below the overnight low. And you know what? Let's even make it better than that. Let's say you didn't like how the overnight couldn't take out the prior low a day. We didn't get down there. You just got out here. You just got out. Okay. I'm gonna put this over here so I can read it. 11.25 point. Let's make it 11 points. Again, I'm trying to be realistic that we're not going to capture every tick and point if we're being honest. Okay. Let's just say 11 points. What's our total here? Okay. At 59, 60, 70 points. Total. All right, do the math. What kind of day would that be? Pretty good. Okay. So that's the trade review. Every single one of them worked out. Yeah, this one even worked out, but I didn't really spell it out. But I just can't do that every day. Oh, one thing that's important: the critical areas dynamic regular trading hours 20. It was at 36.86 when I did this pre-market. This red line represented the 20 moving average at the time. It had been at 86. I did move it lower at some point. So once we started, you can see how we started developing value below there, and it makes sense we closed below there. You know, I just want to point that out. I don't remember where it was at that time to talk about maybe shorting against it, but once again, that's where shorting against inflection points, watching for one-time framing, these kinds of things play into, how you apply this. So, hey, this was a rockin' plan, properly applied. Now, how did I do? How did I do applying all this? I got maybe a D plus. Oh yeah, I had a decent day at the end of the day. I actually got most of my points on a trade that later in the day that wasn't even on this. Okay, having to do with catching some moves up here towards the end. So, but I did okay in the beginning as well. Reasonable, but nothing like I had planned here. Let's think about, even if you took all this in a micro on a one lot, what kind of day would that be? For a micro, that would be a nice little day. Most people trading micros probably trade more than one, so multiply that by 2 or 3. Anyway, it just again, I'm talking to myself here because I really want to capture. I'm doing the work, and I've got the ideas and the framework and all the stuff here. But even for myself, I'm not bringing it to its full fruition for my own. I'm not reaping the rewards fully for myself. I need to kind of raise my expectation for myself and what I'm happy with, I think. But sometimes it requires being here all day, and that's something I just have not been able to do for a while, and it has to do with a lot of things. So maybe I should take a really great vacation at some point. That might help me. All right, well, that's enough. I'm just kind of sit here chit-chatting, and got to get ready to do a pre-market, and I'll take a little break first. And thank you very much, and make a great day. If you watch this video to the end, hit like, will you? Nobody's hitting like, and maybe the only people watching are bots, right? But it would be really nice to get a like or two. Because if you're getting any value out of this, if you've learned one thing about this, even yesterday I said, like, oh, it's, by the way, the initial balance also called the pioneering range. If you didn't know that, I mean, that's something that that you learned from me. So thank you very much. Make it a great day. Bye.